Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Millcreek Government Channel. I'm Jessica Stutzman. Here at the Millcreek Government Channel, we want 2017 to be your best year yet and have found some local resources and events to make sure you're well on your quest towards self-improvement. Chances are you have heard there are many holistic benefits to listening to classical music, decreasing blood pressure, boosting memory, sparking creativity, and fighting depression, just to name a few. Joining us today to share some upcoming special events in the classical music scene is the Executive Director of the Erie Philharmonic, Steve Weiser. Steve, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so excited to have you here. We have a big announcement we're going to make during the show today, but before we get there, everybody stay tuned, but before we get there, just share some background and some history on the Erie Philharmonic for us.
So one of the best things about the orchestra is that we're one of the oldest functioning orchestras in the country. We've been around since 1913, so we just celebrated our 100th anniversary a couple years ago, and before I was Executive Director, I was a musician with the orchestra, so I had the privilege of getting to be on stage a lot of times during that 100th season, which has been a lot of fun. So it's neat to work with an orchestra with this much history. We learn a lot by sort of going back to the archives, that we can see program books from the 1913s, 14s, everything up through the 50s and 60s. With the 50th anniversary, we found a record from a State Department recording in 1950, so we have history that goes kind of back through it.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So it's been nice, and then seeing now, when I started about a year and a half ago, we had a whole staff turnover. So it's nice with an orchestra with that much history, and you looked at the staff, and we had 5 people that hadn't been there for longer than 2 years. So it was sort of fun to be like, how did we do this last year? And like, it doesn't matter. This is how we're going to do it this year going forward. And that, I think, has really sort of helped kind of kickstart the last 2 years with the Phil. We have new website, new color scheme, new logo, a new office. So there's sort of, it's a whole new chapter here with the orchestra.
Right, a lot of fresh new beginnings.
Definitely. We were utilizing online social media a lot more, a big Facebook presence, which has really been good, and we can actually see people purchasing tickets through Facebook. So it's nice to see that the additional benefit really works for that.
And I do have to say, you guys should check out their website. I just was, looking through everything coming into this interview, and it is so clear and crisp, and the pictures you have on the website are so vibrant, it makes you want to attend the event.
That's what we do. Is anyone that knows me really well knows that I'm an horrible and Apple geek, and we really wanted things on the website to be sort of very, very simplistic. It's always been Apple's design motto, and really wanted to have the sort of same thing. The website's almost vague on purpose, where it sort of encourages you to scroll through it. You have very big pictures, and you have to move down to get to the text. And the secret thing of the website is that we do that all in-house. That's all done on my computer. We don't outsource it. We do it all internally.
Oh, that's wonderful. And that probably saves you a lot of money too.
It saves you money. It gives you total control. That if you find a typo, when you get done a concert that next morning, you can change out so it looks like the next concert coming up. You're always staying with it, and you encourage people to go on the website. We have a history section where you can actually listen to archive recordings, you can view old program books, we have bios about all the soloists, so we want people to spend a lot of time on the website.
Oh, and I did. Trust me, you will too, so you need to get on there and check it out. And tell me, you just became the Executive Director. What was that like? What made you want to take that role?
So for me, I moved to Erie initially from Philadelphia to be the General Manager of the Erie Chamber Orchestra out of Gannon. And while I was doing that, I was a musician with the Philharmonic. So I would sort of get to be the manager of the musicians in one sitting, and then get to play side by side with them when I would go play with the Phil. And then last summer there was a management change at the Phil, and they actually reached out to me, and they asked if I would have any interest in the position. I said yes, and after a few short weeks I ended up with the position, and the second day on the job they're like, congratulations, you have to move offices. So you kind of hop in running with a project and go from there.
Right. And tell us, for everybody who doesn't know, what is the mission statement of the Erie Philharmonic?
So the main tenets of it are to enrich, entertain, and educate people of all ages across the region with music. And that was one of the biggest things that we really tried to get back to when I started with our whole new staff, was to get back to those 3 tenets. And we were always really good with the entertain portion of it because we play concerts. That's the easy one. But we really wanted to focus more on the enrich and the educate. And that led a lot of the outreach that we started last year. We donated a couple upright pianos to different facilities across the county. We had guest artists go out and do special visits. We teamed up with PNC for their Grow Up Great program, and then we started a long-term residency at the St. Benedict Center for early preschool kids for 60 days worth of education that we received a big grant from. And those were all new things that we started within the last year and a half to get back to that mission statement, especially to enrich and to educate.
And I mentioned some health benefits because, of course, now that it's the new year, we have all of these great New Year's resolutions.
Right.
But what do you think? Why do you think it's so important to start kids early off listening to the classical music and just, picking up an instrument and doing something like that?
I mean, there's so many different facets to it alone of them, keeping them involved and giving them something to do. I knew that probably one of the reasons why my mom started me on the piano and as a drummer early was just to keep me out of trouble or keep me out of her hair, one way or the other.
It's distracting.
Definitely, it keeps you going for a while. But there are hundreds of studies that talk about the benefit that you get, not only in sort of English skills and math skills, but even in just staying in school longer. I mean, there's so many benefits that the earlier you start it in children, the more it just stays with them throughout every part of their life. And whether they grow up to become necessarily an orchestra musician or just a donor or a patron of the arts, odds are if you start by putting a drum in their hand, I'm biased, I'm a drummer, but putting a drum in their hand when they're 5 and 6, they'll be the people that will come see concerts when they're 35. And that's what we're really looking to build.
That's incredible. So I want to not waste any more time. I want to get into our big announcement because I want to spend the whole rest of the show talking about this.
Got it.
I'm going to actually let you lead into it. And what is the big announcement you have for us?
So for us, coming up in the first week of March, we have probably one of the top living piano players of all time is coming to Erie, Pennsylvania. His name's Emanuel Ax, and he'll be spending 4 days here in Erie. And the best way to describe who he is, if you don't know Emanuel Ax, is that he's the Yo-Yo Ma of piano. It's the best way to put it. Even so much that when Yo-Yo Ma needs a piano player, he chooses Emanuel Ax. So for us to get this living legend to come here would sort of be a coup for any orchestra our size. He's going to be here for 4 days doing master classes, special events, concerts, which we can talk about later. But the best part of his visit here is that he's coming at no cost to the orchestra.
And you did tell me this story right before we started the show. What spurred this? What spurred him coming here? This is a really great story.
So right when I started with the Philharmonic, Daniel Meyer, the music director, and I had talked about some special projects of what we wanted to get this season. And one of the things he had told me about was that Emanuel Ax had gone to his orchestra in Asheville and actually had performed a free residency there. And he's like, all you have to do is just send an email, sort of apply to his agent, talk to him, tell the story, and then he picks one orchestra in the world to visit each year for this. So within like a month of me being here, that was one of the first things I did last year, was send a really nice email to his agent that talked about the things the Phil were trying to do now with new staff and a new look, all the things the city schools were going through, sort of the plight and the adventures of the city, and what a visit like this could mean both to the orchestra and the community. And I remember clearly it was a Friday night, we had a rehearsal, and I got a call Friday night at 6 o'clock, which I don't know why I picked up the phone Friday at 6, but we were all still there. And it was his agent saying, like, we don't have details yet, but we want to let you know that Manny will come for free to Erie.
For free?
For free.
That was incredible.
It is normally a fee like his could go anywhere between $50,000 to $100,000 depending on the size of the orchestra. But for us, he's coming at no charge, and the only requirement was use his time when he's here. So we really took charge to create a 4-day schedule that is incredible with events all across the community. 90% of them are free events for the community. And that was one of the biggest things he wanted us to do, is he knew that we would probably set up a big fundraiser dinner where he'll play a recital for a very intimate crowd, know that we would use that to raise money. But he said, I don't want to only talk with bigger donors and sponsors, I want to meet with everybody. And that was what led us to create the sort of schedule of free events each day leading up to the concert.
So this is really, really important that he is visiting Erie, Pennsylvania. One, we are just, we're handpicked as the only place he's going to do this for this year. But like you said, bringing in fundraising monies and creating this community spirit towards this, great musical legend. So
no, and it's the one thing we used is we received a very generous matching gift to do a big fundraising campaign around him coming here. So his impact will have an immediate impact this year. It's going to be an incredible concert. He'll get to do outreach events, get to visit a middle school and elementary school. But financially, that's that's going to really kind of change our trajectory in the long term. Because now we sort of see what it means as an orchestra to bring in someone of his caliber, to see what it lets us do as an organization. It's easy to sort of fundraise around someone of this magnitude when you think they're coming to Erie. You don't have to go to Cleveland or Pittsburgh or Philadelphia. You can just go down the street to the Warner and see someone at the highest level, basically in the planet, which is cool.
Right. Oh, that is incredible. So what you mentioned a few days, 4 days worth of his visit, but what will his mini residency entail?
So he'll be arriving at Wednesday on Wednesday, March 8th. I'm pulling the dates out, but it's Wednesday, March 8th. He'll be getting here, and even with this, when a guest artist like this comes, you're given the details that he can't really do layovers or changes of airplanes. So we had to get the closest direct flight, which everyone knows isn't Erie. So we have to either go to Cleveland to Pittsburgh to pick him up, and then right away he goes into an elementary school that we're actually trying to line up a piano donation from Steinway. So if all goes as planned, Steinway will donate a piano to a city elementary school, and then Mr. Ax will go do an outreach visit on that piano. So the first thing he'll do is play for 50 or 60 elementary school kids.
That's incredible.
And then that evening he has a free lecture performance at the Jefferson Society, and again that is free and open to the public. So right off the bat we give you two big events. On Thursday then we have a master class at Mercyhurst University after another outreach event that morning, and then the master class is free and open to the public at Walker Recital Hall. 3 local piano students will perform for Emanuel Ax while he critiques them to a live audience.
Oh, wow.
So then you don't only get to see him perform with the orchestra, but you get to see him work with these students and explain, like, no, why don't you play it like this? So those kids will get one-on-one interactions with him.
Right. Oh, those are going to be 3 special students.
Definitely. That's really exciting. And then as an audience member, it's fascinating just to see him work, because anyone can learn from watching someone like that just do their craft, which is really cool. And then that night there is an exclusive fundraiser dinner at one of our bigger donor houses where Manny will do a 40-minute recital at this event. So he'll be playing for an exclusive crowd, but that's sort of one thing he asked us to do, because then it does help us bring in additional funding to pay for the orchestra and things. On Friday, we let him sleep in a little bit on Friday.
Only one day.
That's it, exactly.
Okay.
And then he goes off again to do our normal live from Studio Q broadcast that we do at WQLN Studios, but knowing that we would get way too big of an audience, we're actually doing a satellite broadcast from Walker Recital Hall at Mercyhurst again. So that'll be just a full-blown recital and interview with him playing for the whole time, which will be a lot of fun. And then rounding out Friday night, there's something that Phil used to do a long time ago, were open dress rehearsals, where people could come to the Warner Theater, go in and actually just watch the orchestra rehearse, which is sort of a really, again, a neat thing to see behind the scenes. Everyone's seen a concert, but it's neat to see Daniel up on stage in jeans, working with musicians and sort of talking and having a good time. So Emanuel Ax will meet with patrons in the lobby and just mingle and talk with anybody who shows up, and it's entirely free and open to the public. And then everyone that shows up gets to go in and watch them rehearse for about an hour. We don't want to give away the whole concert, but they'll get to see an hour.
Okay.
And then on Saturday, we have the concert Saturday night, the 11th at 8 o'clock. And he's playing a big Beethoven concerto, the 5th piano concerto. It ties perfectly into our Beethoven 4/4 festival, in which we want to expose the works of Beethoven to everyone in Erie over the course of 4 years. So having this sort of living legend come to play the Beethoven is just perfect.
It sets off the motion for the rest of the summer.
Definitely, it's really good.
Wonderful. And so when he does have downtime, do you think he's going to want to explore, either Dobbins Landing or Presque Isle, or does he, is he focused on music the entire time?
So artists like this, it's always sort of tricky. I mean, that's why we have them stay out at the Sheraton. So at the very least, if they don't get out much, they can at least acknowledge that there's water. They get to at least see that
you
it's
were on
there.
the lake.
Exactly. There's a lake here. So normally what guys like this will do is they'll use the other time to either sleep and relax or practice. And that was kind of fascinating when we got his itinerary. There are some built-in times that, because if you're a violinist and you go to be a big concert soloist and you have to play in Berlin, you fly to Berlin and you take your violin out of the case, the violin that you've played your whole life on. But when a piano soloist shows up, you can't bring your piano. So he'll be playing on a brand new piano that he's never touched before at the Warner for that concert on Saturday night. So he has a lot of practice time each day built in, where he'll go to the Warner and just spend hours. Because someone like Manny Ax has played the Beethoven concerto, no exaggeration, 1,000 times. So he doesn't need to know the notes for it, but it's a new instrument. It's going to feel a little different. It's going to be different being on the stage. The stage is going to look different.
Right.
The lights are going to be different, and that's one thing as a musician you can relate to, is how different your surroundings are when you get in a different concert hall. You realize if you're playing piano, you can sort of look down and there's a person like right there.
Yeah.
It's all these things go into it. So he has practice time built in.
Oh yeah, and I can even, I think you can even relate that to, to sports or to teaching or to anything else you do. Like you said, if your surroundings are different, it does throw you off a little bit.
It really can. I have one of my last memories of playing a marimba recital before I sort of stopped playing percussion when I came to actually work for the Phil. I did a recital at a church over the summer, and I had a whole big cello suite I was going to play on marimba, which is like a really big xylophone. And when I was warming up in the church that morning playing it, we were looking down the aisle of the church, and the front door of the church was closed. Everything was fine. When we came time for the noon summer recital, they opened the door to let people in, and it was just like the reflection beam of light, and there's just a bright sunlight. So the whole time you're playing, all you can do is just see sun in the top, and that's all you can think about. The time, like, don't mess up, don't mess up, don't look at the sun, don't. So those things really do sort of play into, as a musician, many things like that.
Even as a pro, you still are, worried about messing up and not, giving your,
It doesn't.
your top performance.
You let it not make a mistake, but you're still very aware of it. You just know you're like, someone should shut that door.
And you can't stop in the middle.
And you can't, can someone go, you're not allowed, unfortunately.
Now, what do you think his overarching goal or, what he feels like his purpose or role in all of this?
So the best thing is the story that started all of this, and this is sort of special, is 5 or 6 years ago, and I believe it was the Louisville Orchestra. That's a bigger orchestra than us. They hired Emanuel Ax to come in and be their soloist. He left, went back home to New York, and then he saw in a newspaper article like that next week that the Louisville Orchestra went bankrupt. And it broke his heart. He was like, I don't need that extra $40,000. Why did I charge them my full fee? Why did they pay it? I would have given them a better deal if I knew they were in trouble. He's such an incredible good guy like that he was sort of mortified that happened. So he made it be a pact every year. Then he would donate his services to one orchestra each year because of that personal experience he had. And a lot of times that's what happens when you have artists like that they do make an exorbitant amount of money. If you reach out to them and really get in touch with them, they will always sort of work within the budget of what your city has. But no one goes so far as to do a free residency like this.
Right.
We've tried to use it as sort of a bargaining chip to go to other agents like, look, we have this guy that's willing to do this. Would your artist be willing to do it? And some people are actually starting to think about it. Yeah. Which is kind of cool. We're trying to really kind of turn the world upside down a little bit.
I think that's incredible, and I think it really shows too that this is his passion.
Definitely.
I know you hear of all those, sports stars or actors and actresses, and you're right, they make so much money, and it gets to a point, where it's like, is the money really important, or is this just your passion still?
No, I would love. I'm going to get cursed for this, but I'm from Philadelphia. I'm a huge Eagles fan, but I would love it when a player would come up and be like, look, pay me less. I'm sticking around, but pay me less so you can get some more people in here.
Right.
And it's nice when you have a guy that cares that much about the team and the city. And same thing here, someone like Mr. Ax that cares about the music so much. That's what's important.
And what do you think this will do for the Erie community on the whole? What kind of attendance numbers are you expecting to see too?
So we're already seeing much higher attendance numbers for our normal symphonic concerts. The way that it goes is our Pops concerts are always a slightly bigger crowd, and the symphonic audience, we're really trying hard to sort of bring it back with new and exciting music. Last year was a big sort of uptick in the right direction, and this year symphonic has been really good. But someone like Emanuel Ax will draw in people from all across the region, and it's sort of fun to be able to show the community in Erie that, no, this is a really big deal. Like, this isn't just a normal guy off the street that can play piano. So we've seen it already sort of trend in getting more tickets in the door for this symphonic concert. And then what we do is when you come in the door, you walk in that front door of the Warner Theater, people are always blown away. way. You sort of walk in and look up and you see all the lights and you see the big beautiful lobby and you see that stage. And that's the trick, is getting people in the door. Once they come in the door, they normally come back. But it's the trick of getting them there the first time. And that's what he really wants this residency to do, is to reach across the community and get people out that maybe wouldn't go, and then get them coming back.
Oh, of course, of course. And so how can people get involved, whether, again, you need volunteers or if they want to be in attendance, and maybe this is one of their very first, concerts coming back to, how can people get involved?
So the best way is we made a very slick, our normal website is EriePhil, EriePhil.org, EriePhil.org, and then we made a special website just for this residency. So if you do EriePhil.org/Emanuel Ax, everything is there. So it has all the contact information, it has buttons to be able to buy tickets for the concert, it has a full bulleted, detailed schedule of everything that's going on. There's a link to his bio so you can read a little bit more about who he is. There's some really good pictures there. And then our main box office number is 814-455-1375. And that's, again, where you can learn more about information if you want to volunteer help for that concert. But all the details are on that main website.
Okay.
And if you go to our normal website, you can get to it there too.
And what type of, if someone wanted to volunteer, what type of things would they be doing?
So some of the neat things you can do is help at any of the individual events. We sort of always need help handing out programs, helping with seating and any of the different events. We never really know how many people come to the events when they're free, and normally something like this you get a lot of people. So the more bodies we can do to help sort of be concert ushers, hand out flyers, hand out program books, the more the merrier for things like that. And then you still get to come and see the free event anyway.
I know people are going to be blown away when they hear him, when they see him, like you said, when the whole atmosphere is put together. How did he get his start? Where has all of his knowledge and talent come from?
So he was born in Poland before he moved over to the United States, and was an early piano student at Juilliard. So that kind of shows you the talent level you're dealing with right off the bat. That if you're sort of a younger student at Juilliard, you're good. You have a track record and you're going to become really good. And then early on in his career, he won 2 very prestigious piano competitions. One of the big Chopin competitions and another one that's not the Chopin competition. So he won those very early in his career, and it sort of skyrocketed him off to early success. And then he did some of the very early recordings with Yo-Yo Ma on some of the Brahms cello sonatas. And that was what really cemented him on the map, was when you had Yo-Yo Ma doing this incredible recording, Emanuel Ax was the piano player. So that sort of skyrocketed everything. I actually had a chance to play on the same stage with him when I used to do summers in Aspen as their music festival. And as a percussionist in one of the bigger orchestras, I got to play a piano concerto with me playing in the percussion section and him as a soloist. So we shared the stage for probably 20 minutes. But it was cool. Just even then, it was fascinating to get to see him work with musicians at that caliber.
Right, and it was very memorable, I'm sure.
When I led off in the email to him, I was like, first off, I'm a fan. I'm just going to be a fanboy. I played on the same stage with you, and I can't believe this could even possibly work. So.
Right. Is there anything else you want to share? I know we are starting to wrap up here. I want to make sure we get all the information out one more time. Is there anything else about this event and Emanuel Ax that you want our audiences to know and to take away with them today?
I mean, the biggest thing is to realize how special this really is for the community. He could have picked any other orchestra, any other city in the country, in the world to have done this, and he chose Erie. And not just because that Erie is struggling in some aspects, but because of the good things that are happening here. And he really sort of was validated by what the orchestra was doing, and knew that his support could really kind of kickstart everything going to a whole new level. And that's really what we're hoping to get out of this, is sort of improved appreciation of when a talent like this comes to town, really recognizing it.
And tell our viewers again one more time, I don't want them to forget, what is the week he's coming?
So he's here from March 8th through March 11th. So March 11th is the Saturday night concert. So it's from that Wednesday up to that Saturday night, and everything happens sort of within a good, succinct time frame.
Okay, and so they should come out, make sure you check out the free concerts, get online. Again, you have the dinner fundraiser event. Share with us your contact information and the website again.
So our main phone number is 814-455-1375, and then our main website is EriePhil.org, and then his website is EriePhil.org/Emanuel Ax.
Okay, thank you so much for being with us today and sharing this really great announcement. I am so excited for our viewers viewers to get out there in March here. I know it's coming up really fast, so you're going to have to, watch this show and make sure you get on the Erie Philharmonic website. Viewers, this is a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and I know you're not going to want to miss Emanuel Ax. Until next time, thank you for tuning into the Millcreek Government Channel, and have a wonderful day.
You're watching the Millcreek Government Channel, powered by WQLN Public Media.